Next, I want to bring forward Brian Schrag. Coming around? Oh, wonderful. Brian is one of today's leading communicators, arguably in the role of arts and missions. This really comes out of his experience as a Bible translator and ethnomusicologist in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Cameroon, as well as his PhD work in ethnomusicology from UCLA. He's reshaped and retooled the Wycliffe SIL ethnomusicology missions team and broadened their role to embrace not only music, but embrace the broad range of ethno arts and cultures. Welcome up, Brian.
I think it's good that I'm last because I'm going to, you're not going to have to think hardly at all. I'm not going to use any very nuanced conceptualizations, or I'm going to use overused metaphors, and the aesthetics of my PowerPoint are going to turn some of you off. All right, so just sort of enjoy this, and we're going to start with a story. My family and I moved to the Democratic Republic of Congo, which was Zaire, in the early 90s, to working with Wycliffe Bible translators and SIL International to help start a Bible translation with the people who speak a language called Mono. And there it is in the northwest corner of Congo, and this is the Mono homeland, and this was the village that we lived in. When we first got there, there had been a church there for about 50 years, and they're the ones who had invited us to come help with the Bible translation. And so we went. First time we visited the church, I was very aware of what kind of artistry, and mostly I was thinking about music at the time, was going on inside the church and outside the church. Inside the church, they were singing in a trade language. They were the melodies and rhythms were in a pop style from Kinshasa, which was 800 miles away. Hardly any of it happened in the Mono language or Mono arts. And I spoke with the pastor for a while, and he agreed to invite several leaders in the church to meet under a gazebo on a Saturday morning and look at what Scripture says about music and worship and arts. And we did that, and I'm telling this story very quickly. These people eventually decided that that maybe they could have a shift in what they thought of what could happen in a Christian's life. The reason that they had what was inside the church was so different from outside the church was because the first evangelist, a Congolese man, came through and said, when you become a follower of Christ, you need to put the old away, and so you go burn your instruments and your idols and all of those other things. So for 50 years, they had to find arts from other places. But they agreed that perhaps God had given them something special, unique, to give back to Him. And we went through all the different kinds of arts that they used, different genres of music and dance, and they decided that what the best way to sort of reintroduce their unique arts into the lives of the Christian community was through this instrument called a kundi. And because the kind of songs that you play and sing with it are called baguru, which is a word for a proverb or counsel. So I said that was great. And so who can we look at the Bible with and can start composing some scripture songs? And because every 50 years earlier, they had to burn all their instruments, nobody inside the church knew how to play it, only people outside. They agreed to study with Punyama, who is outside the church. But the best kundi player in all of Monoland. And so we started, a number of us from the church started to meet with him. He taught us how to make the instrument and tune it and a small repertoire. And eventually they had the idea to create a choir. Ayo is the Mono word for love. And I always forget which one I am. On the right, that's it. And so they had this idea in 1994 and to create a choir using kundis, which my biggest headache was there's no way you can tune 12 kundis to the same note in any way that makes that I can stand, because there's no fixed pitch anywhere in there. So, but they figured it out somehow, and it worked okay. I remember the first time that I played with them in a church service, and normally a very loud, kind of Pentecostal flavored church. There was a lot of amening and people talking, but when we went up forward and we sang a song that Punyama had written about God making man and woman from the earth, there was complete silence. And after we left, there was sort of polite applause. And I thought to myself, somehow we've made these people think about Jugwa, the god of the forest, or somehow we've made a big mistake. So after the service, I went and asked a friend of mine, a Mono friend, why was everybody so quiet? And he said, well, what could we do? It cut our hearts. There's a way that the arts that you grow up with get to the core of your being in ways that words or things that you get from outside don't do. There's the choir. In 2005, we actually held a workshop for other people with other language communities too, to compose songs based on scriptures but using local traditions. And here is one of the recordings. So they sang these songs. They composed these songs in 2005, and they composed about a dozen songs. I tried to do a little timeline. This is the Mono region. And so I tried to think of how many Mono believers were worshiping the true God with their whole heart, souls, minds, and strength, using the unique gifts God gave them since the inception of the church in their communities. In 1940, the missionaries taught them hymns, and that's how they worshipped in the church. By 1990, they had added pop music from the capital in Kinshasa, but still not using any Mono art forms. In 1994, just at my suggestion, people in Bili started composing some songs in the Kundi and forming the IO choir. Up until 2005, that sort of fizzled out because Punyamba, who was sort of the leader, became sick and had his wife die and kids. So there were a lot of hard things that happened in his life. But when we had the workshop in 2005, since that time, choirs using the kundi and other local instruments have been popping up in all of these different villages and all over. And